Tuesday follows weeks of testimony that pitted the state against the social media giant in a civil case that could impact several similar cases across the U.S. Meta must now pay $375 million in damages for violating New Mexico's Unfair Practices Act. Meta says it will appeal the ruling. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
NASA is holding an all-day press conference called Ignition to update the plans for the first manned moon flyby since 1972.
Next week, the first human moon mission in more than 50 years is expected to launch from NASA's Kennedy Space Center, sending 4 astronauts on a journey around the moon. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman.
We are calling today's event Ignition because it represents the start of a transformative journey for NASA. I'd like to begin by thanking the leadership of President Trump for providing NASA the tools and policy to execute on our world-changing mission.
NASA is highlighting the upcoming Artemis missions to land astronauts on the moon by 2028 and to build a permanent lunar base as part of the Artemis 4 mission. I'm Karen Curtis.
From America's News Network, USA Radio News.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven. You can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Retired General Jack Keane is warning against a ceasefire with Iran, arguing the U.S. should maintain military pressure during ongoing negotiations. Speaking after President Trump signaled possible progress in talks, Keane said a pause in fighting would weaken U.S. leverage. He emphasized that any agreement must address Iran's nuclear, missile, and drone programs. While Iran has indicated a willingness to negotiate, questions remain about compliance. For now, the situation reflects a delicate balance between diplomacy and continued military pressure. The United Kingdom is preparing to lead a multinational effort to secure the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global oil route. British military officers are working with U.S. Central Command and allies, including France, Canada, and Japan, to plan future operations. The mission would focus on clearing threats like naval mines and ensuring safe passage for shipping, but officials say deployment will likely wait until conditions in the region stabilize. The effort highlights growing international coordination amid ongoing tensions. Today is the start of Major League Baseball season.
The New York Yankees will take on the Giants tonight in San Francisco to open the season. That is the only game. Tomorrow, the Mets host the Pirates for a 1 o'clock matchup at Citi Field to kick off their season. New this season, an automated ball strike challenge system where players can appeal pitch calls made by the home plate umpire. Each team gets 2 challenges per game. I'm Scott Pringle.
I'm Ron Warner, USA Radio News.
You can help put vets to work by donating your car, truck, or van. Your donation will directly support programs to help vets find jobs or even start their own business. Donate today for fast, free pickup of your vehicle. Call 800-209-4580 for 24-hour response. Call 800-209-4580. That's 800-209-4580.
Dependable Lock Service is your source for replacement car keys, custom safes from Liberty Safe, and so many more lock and key services. With over 30 years of experience in lock and key industry, there's nothing Dependable Lock Service can't do for you. Whether you're looking for duplicate automotive chip keys, rekeying commercial and residential locks, or custom safe building, we've got you covered. Call 603-886-0559. Nashua's dependable lock services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning. I'm Ed Mullen from Nashua Aerial Advertising. There's no better way to advertise your business and or message than high in the sky. How can you make your advertising budget work for you? By putting your ads up where they'll stand out. The Sky is an uncluttered, impressive venue. You can put your message over a region or location to target your desired demographic. Put your ads where they're needed. We provide coverage over communities through Merrimack Valley, Greater Nashua, Manchester, Lowell, and points throughout South Central New Hampshire and North Central Mass. Summertime beaches, sporting events, races, fairs, and festivals are all ready-made for banner telling. For more information, please visit us online at NashuaAerialAdvertising.com. And remember, the sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning.
Tired of wondering where your money really goes? At Mammoth Nation, we built what was missing. The America First Marketplace. Every brand we feature is 100% American owned and operated, rigorously vetted for their values and committed to supporting our Constitution, law enforcement, and the American dream. When you shop with us, your dollar stays in the neighborhood, supporting families, veterans, and charities like Folds of Honor. No more sending your hard-earned money overseas to the companies that don't respect you here. Your dollar reflects your values. Your dollar, your values. Your America. Join Mammoth Nation today and be part of building a patriot economy by going to TruckersUnitedForFreedom.com affiliate page and hit that link. American built, America strong. Mammoth Nation.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives, a political discussion group about current events and other government-related matters every Wednesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on WSMN 1590 AM, WSMN 95.3 FM, and streaming live on wsmn.live. Making sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day, the Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality. Now, your hosts, Chris Wyatt, Todd McKinley, and John Grosvenor.
Hey, folks, good evening. I think it may be my turn to lead again tonight, John.
I believe you're right, sir.
It is.
Funny that. Welcome back, everybody. It's Wednesday night time for Common Sense Conservatives. And hey, if you thought the school graduation rates were improving in Massachusetts, Michelle Wu is cooking the numbers. And if you thought that Alan Richin was a tough guy on Reacher, he is, as he beats the crap out of his neighbor. And oh boy, we got lots more with the scumbag in Philadelphia, Larry Krasner, the Soros-sponsored district attorney threatening federal law enforcement again. And Trump just keeps on winning. So let's get into it with my co-host here, Todd McKinley in East Tennessee, and John Grosvenor in the studio in Nashua, New Hampshire. And apparently we can't afford the electricity up there. It looks pretty dark. You can barely see John. Looks like he's hiding in a cave. John, what's going on? Why is it so dark in the studio?
It is the camera itself. I mean, I got this big bright light on over my head and everything. I turned that on, trying to brighten it up a little bit in here. But yeah, it's the camera, man. It's just the way it is, you know.
All right, we'll talk to the station manager and ask him to pick up a camera. Costs more than $9.95 at Walmart.
There's others in here. I just don't use them. They're not the right cameras. But you know what they say, man. Tall, dark, and handsome, right? The dark part's there.
Well, we'll just have to take your word for that, John. Todd, what's the word in East Tennessee? How you doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing all right. Getting heated up for our gubernatorial election that's coming up. It is every week there's something new coming up. Marsha Blackburn, the U.S. Senator, senior senator from Tennessee, she's the front runner because of name recognition. Of course, a lot of outside money. She's been getting in trouble for using a lot of her national money or federal money for the state election. And so that's going to be, she's gotten in trouble for that before. Apparently it's just a slap on the wrist. It's fine. And they move on from it. But they're going to keep doing it. But it's getting interesting for sure.
But with her name recognition, is there any real risk that she won't actually get elected to that office? I mean, people outside Tennessee know who the heck she is.
Right. Well, there's a John Rose. He's a member of Congress, a House of Representatives. He's putting up a fight. I don't know that he's gaining much traction. Of course, there's a state rep, Monty Fritz, who's actually a friend of mine now. He's an American Legion legionnaire. He's a former cavalry NCO staff sergeant. He's a state legislator. He's got a lot of grassroots support, but I don't think it's going to be enough to overcome tens of millions of dollars that's going to be poured into this race.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought on it.
And we've had Monty on here a few times. So
I was going to say, he's been on this show.
Yeah,
I recall, but I was just saying, I don't know that it's tough to overcome that name recognition. It's like the power of incumbency. You know, if your name is known, it's it's how people like Hillary Clinton get elected to be senators in New York as a carpetbagger, not even a resident of the state of New York. Yeah, name recognition alone. No talent there, but name recognition. Hey, but Todd, I don't know if you saw this, but apparently the murder of the young lady in Chicago at Loyola was Donald Trump's fault. Apparently, J.B. Pritzker blames Trump, even though it was Biden who twice released this illegal alien, and then he murdered a young lady. It's amazing how the lack of recognition for just how dumb they are by Democrats themselves. They actually try to blame other people for their failures. I mean, have you seen this? J.B. Pritzker's actually blaming Trump for it. It's insane.
Well, of course, I mean, you got to think about this. That's what the left has to do is simply you blame the Republican in charge and you move on from it. You never accept responsibility. The media is going to help carry your water for you. So do you just shift the blame to somebody else and then they'll go after that person? And that's what's happening in this particular case.
Yeah, it's the same old tired script. Listen, John, I'm curious. I've heard from the administration that the Trump has got Kushner and Steve Witkoff negotiating with the Iranians. I've heard from the Iranians making fun of the president, saying there's no negotiations. Then I've heard from the press saying there is negotiations. The Pakistanis involved. John, I'm just curious. At this hour tonight, is it dark in the office because you actually have Iranian diplomats there negotiating the end of this conflict? Is that what's going on? We're just curious.
Shh, you can't tell those secrets, man. You can't be telling secrets like that. Now Secret Service is going to have to really go. See, there goes the silence.
There they are.
You see what you did?
I let the cat out of the bag. Ladies and gentlemen, we've discovered where the Iranians are at tonight. They're in Nashua, New Hampshire, in the studio. So if you want to protest, show up outside the studio, WSMN.
That'd be great. I expect to see tons of people behind me.
Actually, I'd love to hear some of the listeners maybe do a drive by the studio, give a honk, if they support the peace process.
The peace process. Listen, my position on this is the War Powers Act gives the president 60 days before he needs Congress's authorization. I say bomb them into the Stone Age till day 59. You can't negotiate with terrorists. They will simply play for time. They'll rearm, reassess, re-equip, and rebuild, and then come back and be dangerous again. The only way to eliminate this threat is through destruction, total destruction. Right. Todd, would you agree or disagree?
Well, you said you can't negotiate with terrorists, but also dead terrorists can't negotiate. So there's another alternative there.
That is an excellent point. I'm with Chris on it. They got 60 days, use all 60 days, obliterate them. Trump said, unconditional surrender is the only terms he's going to accept, and he needs to stand by that. He needs to go for that. And Chris, if I'm not mistaken, it's 60 days plus 30 days for an exit strategy, right? So technically he's got a full 90 days if he wants to work it that way.
I could be mistaken. I'm not sure, but I do know that his time is constrained. Yeah, of course, he has 48 hours to notify Congress when he takes action, which he did. And then he's got, I thought, 60 days before he had to have congressional approval.
Now, can he use the Marines up to 90 days in expeditionary force capacity in some way? I don't know if there's some.
I'd have to brush up on the law. I mean, it's not often that we need the War Powers Act.
No, that's true. And it gets
the comedy here is the comedy here is the Democrats are trying to get something passed that would supersede the War Powers Act by forcing the president to leave a senator. These people don't love America. They truly, truly hate America, and they show it each and every day. I mean, how anybody could vote against the SAVE Act is beyond comprehensive. But they'll do it. They'll do it. They'll delay this thing. Anything to flood this country with people who have no business being here. Criminal alien invaders. That's who they are. That's what they're all about. Yeah. So I don't know if you saw this, Todd, but Larry Krasner, our vile, evil, repulsive, poor excuse for human flesh, the Philadelphia district attorney, backed by Soros, has threatened to arrest ICE officers who are supporting TSA at the Philadelphia airport. I wish that somebody would just sit on the side of the road, watch him coming out of a restaurant or a bar or a dinner engagement, and pull him over and find out he's a DUI. This guy is a clown. I mean, he's done more harm to Philadelphians than anyone else. He's responsible for many of these murders by releasing these creeps back in the street without bail.
Yeah, Philadelphia has been corrupt for many, many decades, kind of like Detroit, back in the day, Chicago still. I mean, just a very corrupt city for sure. And it's ran into the ground. The good people of Philadelphia, the few that are there that haven't fled are suffering. I mean, every day for sure. And
no, the guy is he's a total disaster. And he's another one of these. It's amazing to me how stupid some Democrats are. I mean, they're just stupid. I mean, I'm sorry. They're just dumber. You can't even say dumber to box of rocks. At some point, that's insulting stones. Right. I mean, Pritzker, Omar, Rashida Tlaib, all these fools who have no substance, Jazzy Crockett, who thank goodness will be gone from the scene, Beto O'Rourke, Gavin Newsom. I mean, at least Nancy Pelosi isn't stupid, and of course, the Crypt Keeper there in New York, he's stupid. and he's evil, but he's smart enough to stay in Congress. I don't understand, John, how people vote for people this dumb. I don't know. Maybe they vote for people who reflect who they are themselves. I don't know. Did I just offend some voters? Too bad for that, John.
I'm not sure anybody's vote counts anymore, Chris. I mean, I can't believe these people get reelected. Nancy Pelosi, of all people, I mean, constantly reelected. Although I do hear that California is kind of turning red. They might be flipping the script out there. I'll believe it when I see it, though.
Yeah, we're a long way. It was 8 million votes for Kamala and 4 million for Trump. That's a long way. And a lot of people left the state in the meantime. So I don't think people are saying that Arizona is turning it red. And it's funny because the younger crowd in their 30s who think they know everything, like, yes, Arizona, long time purple. No, it's not a long time purple state. It was a red state, a deep red state until recent elections. It's only recently elected Democrats as senators consistently had. And Barry Goldwater was from freaking Arizona. I mean, trying to tell us that Arizona was a purple state. These people have no sense of history. It may be trending back, but then that'd be good news if it is.
Yeah, you had a lot of people that fled, blue cities and blue states that went there, and of course they kept voting the same way that they did whenever they fled.
Yeah, well, I mean, people with dumb ideas take them with them when they move. It's a problem.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, what caused you to leave? What was the catalyst that brought you to that point to make that decision? Oh, it was the policies, politics. Maybe you don't vote that way whenever you move.
The problem is it's incremental. These people with stupid ideas go, oh, it's not a bad idea. It's just a small tax. It won't hurt. We won't notice it. Oh, why can't we have this here for these people? And what's wrong with doing this? The next thing you know, everything's all screwed up. Boys are playing in girls' sports, and you're being taxed to death. And you've got a state that is kidnapping your children by giving them sanctuary so they can come there and have their genitalia removed. This is what you get. It comes in small increments, but it eventually. I mean, it's odd because this is the state that led Proposition 13 revolt to end this property tax nightmare in California back in the 1970s, and here we are now with a state that was for a century reliably conservative, endlessly conservative. But what happened? California was flooded with criminal alien invaders coming from Mexico initially, and then from all over Latin America, and then from all over the world, and that's what happened. And then it just went downhill from there. It's
the most interesting and fascinating thing about this is the fact that these social democracies or social democratic states, as they like to call them, in other words, social, they're failing in their programs. They're failing in their projects. People, when people are working full-time jobs, making $50,000-$60,000 a year, and they're living in tents because they can't afford to rent an apartment, that says volumes about what's going on within that state. And they still support these social programs. These people going out there still supporting this nonsense. Social democracy doesn't work.
Well, you get people who make $50,000 living in tents because, well, we'll use the term the Democrats want to latch onto, that they created an affordability crisis. The affordability crisis is because of zoning laws. It's because of people who limit the land use to places and restrict the housing so that housing that's affordable cannot be built. And by contrast, I'm living in a place where we have a township council that's just drunk on progress, where they just want to continue letting people build here, and the roads are falling apart, and they're adding more houses. Our school taxes are going up, even though most of the people moving in don't even have kids. And they're adding to the tax base. The school's getting millions and millions more money, and they still raise our taxes every year without the voters' consent. I tell you, having done postgraduate work in community and regional development, it just shocks me how poor urban planners are and how poor people are at zoning. And that's one of the big reasons why you have this crisis in Los Angeles, because of the zoning. And the fact there's just too many people there. Let's be honest about that.
For sure. Yeah, we're seeing that problem here in Northeast Tennessee, where what used to be farmland and roads that were built to support only so many vehicles a day, you now have sprawling houses, that thousands and thousands of housing units now driving on roads that were built for farm equipment, farm use, and just a few local uses. And now they're just being destroyed because they're not equipped and not built to handle thousands and tens of thousands of cars on a daily basis.
Well, that's exactly what's happening in my township here. And in fact, the road outside my little neighborhood here, it looks like Mogadishu. I mean, it's like a tank trap out there. It's just, it's falling apart. It's only about a 3/4 mile stretch. It goes from one piece to the other piece there to loop around town. It's heavily trafficked because of the poor designing here. They have a state route that has a 65-mile-an-hour speed limit, and then they drop it down to 55 just before you reach here, because you have to go through a series of traffic lights on a highway, which is the equivalent of an interstate, but it's not interstate, it's a state route. You have to go through that to get through our town. And that's not even the town. That's where they allowed all the stores and the supermarkets to be built. So you wind up with all these traffic lights. So people are going from 65, slow down. And if you go out there from 4 o'clock to 6:30 at night, you might as well be in DC on the Beltway. That's what it looks like. And nothing's moving. And now they're adding houses directly adjacent to the roads that connect to it. There's no bridge across, no underpass. So you have to drive a couple miles to turn this way or the other. And it just causes all kinds of chaos. Very poor planning. And Los Angeles, I think, is a good example of that. I mean, by the way, all those people were burned out of their homes last year. Is anybody back yet? I think only one place has been restored a residency permit. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Los Angeles, what a disaster. But hey, it's Gavin Newsom's playground.
Yeah, but urban sprawl destroyed Southern California. I mean, instead of going vertical, they just went out like this to the sea and just ruined it.
Yeah, no, it's just too much. It's too much. Hey, speaking of that young lady who was murdered at Loyola, the newspaper there, the Loyola University student newspaper, apologized for calling that scumbag an illegal immigrant. He murdered, Sheridan Gorman, the 18-year-old. Loyola Phoenix posted an editor's note apologizing for the headline of its story, reporting the charges filed against Jose Medina. That sounds redundant. The headline originally referred to Medina as an illegal immigrant, which the note said didn't reflect the most important elements of the story. I think that is the most important element of the story. Another American murdered. And then the audacity of an older woman in Chicago saying, well, she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. No, she was murdered because a criminal who had no business in this country. It's unbelievable.
Wait, was he attending school where she was? Wasn't she walking on campus? He
just a
wasn't going to
murderer.
school there. He happened to come across students that were probably intentionally and murdered somebody on the campus where she belonged.
So this is what happens to these retarded idiots who are leftists and liberals. The editor's note said the term illegal immigrant does not align with the Associated Press style or the values of this newspaper. What values this newspaper? To cover up the murder of people by failing to declare the state as someone? No human's existence is illegal. And we quickly changed out wording to reflect that. No one claimed that his existence is illegal. We claimed that he violated our sovereignty, which we won by defeating the British Empire in 1783. And we've defended jealously for over 2 centuries. These people need to be taken into public street and stripped naked and have cold water poured over them in the dead of winter and see how they like that. Or, just horsewhip them. Maybe it's time to tar and feather idiots because I'm so sick of this. Criminal alien invader. You don't like illegal immigrant? Let's call what is criminal. Committed a felony by crossing the border more than once. That is a felon. That is a criminal. Let's not pussyfoot around this. Let's tell the truth. I'm sick of this nonsense. And I don't really care what the Associated Press says for its guide because the Associated Press capitalizes the word black when describing someone. A word used to describe a noun is called an adjective. It's not called a noun. You don't capitalize black unless it comes at the beginning of a sentence. You know what? Right. They don't capitalize white. So what does that mean? They're racist. The Associated Press is racist. If you want to capitalize black, you must capitalize white because you're describing a group of people. And if whites are a group of people, then it's a group of people. If blacks are a group of people, then. But they do this crap. I'm sick of it. The Associated Press, who cares what their style guide is? They can't speak English, so why should we listen to them? Todd?
Right. But kids, it's also okay to capitalize white and black if it's the person's last name. That's the only exceptions that we're going to allow here, folks. That's it, right? John?
Oh, I was just sitting there thinking, if anybody felt the ground rumble or anything, just be aware that it was not an earthquake. It was just a collective left seeking a safe place after Chris said the word retard.
I didn't say retard. I said retarded.
Okay, retarded.
Which is different than retard. Retard is usually meant as an insult. That's not. I was saying their development is retarded. In other words, it's not full. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
No, retarded means to be slow.
He used it properly, but they'll hear that word and be like,
I just thought it'd be funny to throw it out there. Sorry.
They'll need their safe. They'll need their safe space. You're correct about that. That's for darn sure. Yeah. Todd, here's something of interest for me. I want to get your take on this. The Army has raised the enlistment age to 42 years of age, and you can smoke pot. Not when you go in the Army, but you could have smoked pot. There's no, if you have a conviction for marijuana or drug paraphernalia, you can now enlist in the Army. 42 years old.
42. Are we getting desperate here for people? I'm wondering. I think so.
Weren't we just being told we have record recruitment under the new administration, and now we're being told
so? Yeah, now we need 42-year-olds.
I think I don't have a problem with what they discovered is only Gen Xers are willing to go up their butt and do something.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with a 42-year-old coming in, doing a few years, but think about it. 10 years, you're 52. I'm like, you're starting to slow it down at that point. 62 at 20 years. Yeah, I'm sorry. You should have been out already.
Hey, what are you saying, Todd?
No,
what are you saying over there?
I'll
have you know I'm still in my prime.
In any other job. I'm talking about in most military jobs at 62. It's probably not a good idea that you're doing those at that point.
Well, I know Don Bolduc. You know, we had him on the show many times, and he went out there and become a police officer, and we went through training like it was nothing.
There are very few exceptions. At the same time, his body has been trained since he was 18 up through that point. He hasn't slowed down versus somebody 42 coming off the couch trying to do that. I'm sorry. It's good.
All I'm saying is underneath all this fat, there are 6-pack abs. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, right, John.
Well, I'm going to tell you, a 42-year-old couch potato is not going to get through basic training. Not unless they've just, now you have safe space and basic training too.
Yeah, and I don't care how much Ozempic you're going to use. You still have got to put muscle on. You've got to exercise. I mean, you can lose all the fat you want, but if you have no muscle, it's not going to do anything for you.
I've seen some guys, in their 50s and stuff, go to training and, gym and stuff. They can get really healthy, and you can do it in a reasonable amount of time. But you're right, you're not just going to go in the military and jump right in.
But plus, it's not a matter of just throwing a little bit of weight around in the weight room for an hour and be like, yeah, I did it. You have to have stamina. You have to be able to go for hours and hours and days on end. Also, plus cardiorespiratory fitness and so many other things that are at stake here. Not just throwing a little bit of weight around. I'll bench 300 a day. Well, good for you. Let's go run a mile. Oh, you can't even run half a mile. I'm sorry. You need to go sit on the sideline.
Well, I have to tell you this. When I went to Air Assault School in 1987 at Fort Campbell, when you leave the cantonment area where you come in, of course, you go through the hazing, harassing, yelling at you and all this stuff. And then, okay, now you have to go run 2 miles. And so I was just dumbfounded at the number of people that struggled to run 2 miles who were on active duty in 1987, when the Army was much healthier and fitter. I mean, I was already a veteran and already back in college and was in my junior year and went there during December. We went out of the gate and, it was hundreds of people because they wash a bunch of them out. That's how they weed them out. And so it's like a pre-qualification course. So you go out there and run, you have to do a PT test. Right. Even if you have a PT test, that week in your unit, you still have to do when you get there. And we take off, and I'm talking about hundreds of people. And I try to get to the side because it's a lot of people. I don't like dodge around people. And I picked the pace and I ran the same pace. And I was in the top 10 people that finished at the 2 mile point. But when I took off, they were trying to impress people, I guess, and a lot of them just sprint for like the first couple 100 yards, and they just kind of fag out and disappear. And so I'm just like pass. That for me, actually, that was one of the coolest runs I ever did. For 2 mile run, is I got to pass probably about 350 people, but because it gives you a feeling of achievement when you pass somebody and you keep it up. But I mean, I usually finish. But my point is, in '87, I already had people who weren't obese or overweight, but struggled, and they weren't particularly good at running 2 miles. I cannot imagine being 42 years old, although I was fit at 42. And I was still beating 20-year-olds at PT, but I'm talking about coming in for the first time. Because Todd, you made the point, you're conditioned. You've been doing this for years,
right?
But the people, you don't just suddenly decide to join the Army at 42. That seems strange to me. And why are we doing that if we have record recruitment? And why are we suddenly? I think that maybe somebody's been fibbing to us, or maybe the numbers have dropped off recently because we suddenly do a turnaround and say that we need to recruit all these people. I'm
right.
Something doesn't seem right here.
And you notice it was if you're prior service, you can't go back in. So let's say you retired at 38, like I did, and you took 2 or 3 years off, and you're like, oh, I can go back in if you wanted to. You can't go back in. They don't want you for. And I ask, what's the reason behind that? Is it because you know what right looks like, and you're going to be calling out what's going on now? I'm just curious.
I'm curious too. I don't understand what this is all about and why the Army's doing it, but apparently they are. I think it'll be short-lived. The Army does these experiments from time to time. I remember that they introduced the Montgomery GI Bill in 1985. It was not a very good program. And then after they got rid of that. And then after 9/11, it was completely revamped, and it's much more generous to veterans now. But I also remember that they tried this nonsense of reducing retirement to 40% at 20-year mark at the same time.
I've got my VA GI Bill eligibility letter here. I've got 14 months left.
Oh, did you request it or did you send it to you?
I did. So
I should ask, because I'm not sure the status of that, because it used to be 36 months of eligibility, but I understand it was increased to 48 months. And as a consequence of serving, I'm eligible for the new GI, the post 9/11 GI Bill, but I used 36 months of VEEP, and so I'm not sure. But so if there's 12 more months, then I would get 12 months. I could go work in a PhD and get that E5.
Well, that's why I requested it, just to kind of get see if I had any left. So lower that cost if I do decide to do a doctorate here. But I think I might do it.
Well, I mean,
I don't know if doctor.
I don't know if it really is 48 months. Would it be nice? Maybe it would be nice if it's 48 months. That's pretty cool.
But it gave me a deadline to the end of this year, because that'd be my 10-year out of the Army deadline.
That's right. There is a time. I forgot about that. Well, I've been out 6 years, so I should probably inquire.
I would check. Yes, check. Yeah.
Yeah, and then maybe I'll go to, I don't know, Heidelberg or somewhere abroad or Switzerland and spend a year there and work on a PhD.
So you guys talking about raising the enlistment age, but I'm wondering, with the use of drones now and technology now, do you have to be fit like you used to have to for certain positions? I mean, of course you want every military, because you don't know what you're going to be.
Okay.
You have a base standard, everybody. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's clarify this, okay? You have to have a basic level of physical fitness to be in the military, and there's reasons for that. Because if you have obesity, if you have an unhealthy system, you're going to break parts. You're going to have muscle issues. You're going to have wounds and injuries. That you need to be basically reasonable level of fitness. You become a liability. Correct. Yeah. Now that's why we have a different fitness test to become a Navy SEAL, to become a Delta Force member, to become a Ranger, to go to those courses. And when you go to Air Assault or Airborne School, you're pushed harder. And so those standards are different for specialized things. Everyone has to have a certain level of fitness, because if they don't, they first off, if you're unfit, if you're not healthy, your mental health suffers. If your mental health suffers when you're under extreme stress or a difficult environment, then that creates a whole series of other problems. Therefore, it's critically important that people be healthy. And so this is the thing about the Army physical fitness test. Let's spend a minute talking about that. Now we have this absolutely ridiculous physical fitness test. I'm so glad I'm retired, where you have to throw a medicine ball and it takes 4 hours to do the test, where before you had a physical fitness test and it was a basic measurement of general fitness. And anybody could do it. All you needed was one NCO to grade you and someone to hold your feet for the sit-ups. And that was it. That was it. So you could do a PT test with 3 people, and you could do it anywhere in the world. You ran 2 miles. You had a time prescribed for men and women by age group, and then you did 2 minutes of push-ups and 2 minutes of sit-ups. And I can tell you that if you're not in shape, it's hard to do the minimum number of push-ups and sit-ups. But if you're in a reasonable level of shape, it's a relatively easy thing to do. If you're in great shape, you can max the test out. But it's a general level of fitness, and that's what gets lost on people. Everyone has to have a certain level of fitness because of the stress, the strain, the what's the word I'm looking for? The challenges that you must deal with physically and mentally. You must be able to withstand them. And it's not a very high level of fitness. Let's be honest about that. I mean, it's not like you can go to a transportation unit and all the soldiers are going to jump out of their 5-ton trucks and go run with a rucksack for 5 miles. No. Now, but if you grab a Delta Force team or a Ranger unit, you grab their rucksacks with 85 pounds on it, give them a rifle, they're going to run 5 miles. And when they're done, they're going to look like they just got out of the shower. You're fresh as a daisy. But that isn't going to happen with a transportation unit. Or a signal unit.
No. They may drive 5 miles and be out of breath, but still.
Yeah, exactly.
But you still need the logistics folks too, though, for sure.
Well, look, I'm not trying to disparage all the units. I'm just trying to say that fitness becomes a bit of a religion for people in those certain career fields. It becomes a big part of who they are.
Talking to some guys, when you get out talking about National Guard guys and reserve guys. Well, I was in the Army. It's like, what did you do? You did this for National Guard unit and you didn't go anywhere. It's not really the same. I'm sorry. The level of fitness here is completely different. The level of experience is way different for sure.
Well, I mean, you could be fit as a fiddle, like good old little Timmy Waltz there, who is a combat veteran, having served in Europe, guarding a base
near combat by a few thousand miles. He was close.
Yeah, well, he was close. He was there in spirit.
Yeah, Timmy Waltz.
Yeah. Hey, folks, you're listening to Common Sense Conservatives right here on WSMN, 95.3 on your FM dial, 1390. 1590. You've
been on too many radio stations.
Yeah, it's too many. I have. 1590 on your AM dial every Wednesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Rain or shine. We recently celebrated our 250th airing of the program. That was a pretty big day. And we're happy that you're here to join us. You can catch us either at WSMN on the internet if you're outside the Nashua, New Hampshire area, or you're not picking up that skip wave from the AM signal in the evening. You can just listen to us right off the web. Or if you want to see how beautiful and dead sexy Todd McKinley is, you can watch us on the interwebs. You just go on to any of our broadcasts, Truckers Independent Broadcasting Network, or my channel at Colonel Chris Wyatt on the YouTube. And you can just watch us and watch us in the studio, which I think is always entertaining for some of the viewers. They enjoy being viewers, not just listeners. But anyway, so John, are you still there? It's like pitch dark in the studio.
Yeah. You see me?
Okay, he is white. I saw his hand. Oh my goodness, you look like what's his name? What's it? Rollins, that actor. You know, in the dark there, I can barely see you, man. Anyway, guys, last week. We, as a community, as a nation, we lost somebody that many people was a beloved actor and martial artist and performer with a great spirit. And that, of course, was
Chuck Norris.
That's right, Chuck Norris.
Okay, I thought you forgot.
No, I was pausing for somebody to jump in. It's Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris died suddenly at the age of 86. And it was kind of weird, Todd. I don't know if you're listening to it, but I saw the announcement that there was an incident in Hawaii and he went to the hospital. And then the family came out and reassured us, said, no, Chuck's fine. He's in the hospital. He's doing well. And then a few hours later, he was dead. But I mean, guys, he was 86, but he just was in just boxing or, kickboxing somebody just a few days prior to that. So yeah, I wonder what happened, but man, he was just there and then he was gone.
We were just talking about fitness, and honestly, that man stayed fit the entirety of his life, right up till the day he died. He was physically fit, probably running around like a 40-year-old.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, remember Jack LaLanne? That guy was fit to the end too.
Mm-hmm. Right. I was watching a video yesterday, and it was showing Chuck Norris kick and how quick it is and how he can put it pretty much anywhere. And they're like, by the way, this was when he was 56 years old.
Yeah.
And it was just lightning fast kick. Wow.
It's amazing because, growing up, I knew of Chuck Norris from his martial arts and then some of his Hollywood movies in the 80s he did. But he's probably most famous to most generations for Walker, Texas Ranger. Isn't that amazing, Todd? I mean, he's known for that. 9 seasons,
absolutely.
It was.
Yeah. I remember him from a lot of his goofy movies from the 80s, the 70s, 80s, Invasion USA, what was it when he went back? Colonel Braddock, whenever he went back to Vietnam, finding the POWs,
Delta
MIAs.
Force and
Delta Force. That was a great flick. Yeah.
There was like 3 of them. Absolutely. I think they did.
And which is actually, talking about Iran, it's actually based on the hostage situation in Iran. Essentially, the story is.
Yeah, no, I think it's a loss. We've been these folks keep going left and right there, John.
Whenever you guys say Chuck Norris, anybody says Chuck Norris, I think of him. And I love I talk about marketing, when Chuck Norris does push-ups, he's pushing the earth down or
right. Yeah.
Not to be crude, but there was one that, what was it? Death had a near Chuck Norris experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always think of Bruce Lee because he come out with, what was it? Wasn't Enter the Dragon? Was it Enter the
Dragon? It's Bruce Lee.
Yeah, well, one of them with Chuck Norris was in. I don't know if it was Enter the Dragon. It was one of them. They
were in Rome, and the two they had a whole battle in Rome and stuff.
Yeah, when Bruce asked him to do the show or the movie, he's like, "So I take it I'm going to lose." Is what Chuck said. He goes, "Yes, but it would be a good long battle, and it'll look good for both of us." He said, "All right, I'll do it."
They probably kicked him off as far as his career goes. I don't know because that goes way back.
Oh yeah. No, I think that definitely helped launch his Hollywood career. Right. But I mean, the Walker Texas Ranger show, I didn't watch it very much, but I remember every time I'd pass it or see it on the TV, he was always like so calm and in control, no matter what the situation was. Like a perp is going to pull a gun. He's just standing there. He does a sideways, lifts his leg up and knocks the gun out of his hand. He's just all calm and everything. It almost made you feel reassured watching that show.
Yeah. Yeah. Just have a Texas Rangers number on speed dial. You'll be good to go. He'll show up, nick of time, save you. You're good to go. No issues.
Yeah, but what a loss. I mean, and these folks just keep going. I remember Bob Newhart passing, Betty White passing. The one that I'm not looking forward to, but definitely is gonna hit. Shatner and Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood's 95. Yeah. So, hey guys, I got to share this. I don't know if I told you last week, but I received my Army War College magazine from the Army War College Foundation because I'm a lifetime member, and actually was at the foundation yesterday or the day before. And I talked to the president of the foundation, Ruth, and they had an article in the Army War College magazine about the oldest living graduate of U.S. Army War College, a 1955 graduate. Now, before anybody says, well, okay, what's that? Well, guys, in order to be a graduate in 1955, you would have had to have been a lieutenant colonel or a colonel, almost always a colonel. And you don't become a colonel till you've been in about 20 years. So, if somebody in 1955 would have been 35, the gentleman in question went 8 years early to the War College, probably by mistake. He got orders from the Pentagon, from the Department of the Army. And of course, back in 1950s, you don't question those things. They sent him orders, and it said, instead of going to Leavenworth for Command General Staff College, he was due to go to the War College, which was clearly a mistake. He contacted them. They said, hey, you go where your orders told you to go. Don't question the Army. So he went there. He is 107 years old today and still drives a car. I'm not making this up. He's the oldest living graduate of West Point and the Army War College, 107 years old.
Holy cow.
And
Still
I'd
kicking.
love to live to be 107 years old. Problem is I love pizza too much.
Well, I want those stem cells, man. Let's get those stem cells working so we can reverse this, get that blonde back in my hair, get that strawberry blonde mustache back instead of this, Father Christmas look. Yeah, let's get that coming soon. I want to slow this down.
I like where you're going with this. Reverse aging.
I want those telomeres to be connected properly and that skin to come back and things regenerate. That's what I'm looking forward to. I want science to hurry up before I get too old and it's too late.
I'm waiting for Musk to kick in here. I'm seeing myself at 107 years old with this really, really awful wrinkly face, and everything underneath my chin is bionic.
Okay. Well, I'm seeing myself at 107 years old, still with this lovely head of hair. I don't know if I have a beard at 107, but I definitely. But 107, can you believe that, Todd? Yeah. I mean, the guy is the oldest I think ever. He's the oldest living, but he's also, I think, the oldest ever West Point graduate. Certainly, to my knowledge, the oldest War College graduate. Because and this may never happen again. I mean, what are the odds that because normally it would have been 8 years later. So even if he'd gone to the War College, gone to West Point in the future, he'd be like a 96 or 97-year-old. He's not going to be 107. So this is absolutely incredible. I was like, is this a misprint? 107? Did they get something wrong here? Did they mean 97? And I read the story, and he's 107 years old. I mean, look, at some point, longevity counts for something, but of course the gentleman had quite an eventful career and he accomplished a lot, but at some point it's just longevity. I mean, so for instance, unfortunately this week on the 22nd, just 3 days ago, a dear friend of mine, the founder of the Drakensberg Boys Choir, world famous school in South Africa, has turned out some incredible singers and performers and changed the lives of thousands of young men, and also the founder of the Drakendale school in Howick in South Africa, John Tungay, passed away peacefully on the 22nd at the age of 89. Just missed his 90th birthday. When I was in South Africa last year, I saw him, and I hoped it wasn't the last time, but I could clearly see the difference from 88 to 89, how he had slowed down physically so much in just 1 year. But at the age of 87, this man was driving over 95 miles an hour on the highway, taking me to the Mandela capture site. And I said to John, John, he said, yes, Chris. I said, look, you may be in a hurry to meet God, but I'm not. Could you slow down?
He want to make sure you see the site before it disappears or something. I don't know.
But seriously though, there's got to be a spirit behind that. You know what I mean? That's a guy just keeps his young spirit going. He keeps he's ambitious in life, and he didn't give up. He never gave up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, well, John Tungay is an amazing fellow. It's absolutely amazing. I don't know if I have it here. I printed it out, but the tribute to him, if I can find it during the break, I'll read it the next hour, what the Drakensberg Boys Choir's school said about him. He's an amazing educator, a person who believed in the power of music. And even this year, in his 89th year, he was still trying to put together a choral tour for the choir from the Drakendale School. But of course, that takes thousands of dollars, and now with the visa issues, but he was still trying to put a trip together for them to tour, to come to America and sing and perform. At 88, 89, it's 89 years old. It's, you'd think he'd have other things to do. But I also remember very clearly a couple of years ago, we sat together and watched the Springboks play in his living room. And it was a terrible game, but we had a good time because we had each other's company. I will miss him terribly. I've only known him for 6 years. But he greatly enriched my life, and as he enriched the lives of thousands of people over the years. And unfortunately, gents, what it reminds us of this week is the frailty of life and how fleeting it is. And for all of you out there listening, you need to grab life by the roots. You've got to grasp the nettle. You've got to make the most of this experience, because as far as I know, unless you're Shirley MacLaine or a Buddhist, you don't get reincarnated. Maybe there's an afterlife. Maybe there isn't. I don't know. I haven't been there. Not yet anyway. But what I can say is that you're here now. Make the most of it. Treat others as you wish to be treated, and get the most of this experience, because life is too fleeting and it goes by far too fast. And as a historian, I can tell you that not everyone gets the opportunity to have a wonderful life or a long life. So congratulations to both of the gentlemen who passed this week, to Chuck Norris at 86 and my dear friend John Tungay at 89, almost 90. Good innings for both of them. And we wish them fair seas and following wins. So with that, Todd, before I start choking up here, let's go on to something a little more interesting for the audience that might be curious about this. Did you see where this state house seat in Florida flipped, where Mar-a-Lago's at? A Democrat won this. Emily Gregory, a military spouse, will now be the representative in a special by-election down there. And the Democrats are all excited because they won, but they still only control 28% of the seats in the Florida House of Representatives and 30% of the Senate seats. So let's not get too excited.
Every leftist media outlet has got it all over social media like it's some great victory against Trump. Look at this. Turned a seat in his own district.
In his own backyard is where Mar-a-Lago's at. Yeah, and what's your point? A lot of leftist rich people live in that area. And it wasn't like she won 70-30. It was 51 to 48.9% or something like that. She barely won.
Plus a special election where they were motivated to come out. Yeah,
18 to 20% of the voters come out. So I mean, you really can't judge an election or the state of the polity by those sort of elections. That's almost a steal. Actually, as far as I'm concerned, I run for office. I'm okay with a low voter turnout. The lower the turnout, the fewer votes I need to win.
That's true. Hopefully the people showing up are showing up for you, though. That's another thing. But the thing is, in a local election or state house election, it's voter interaction. Are you going to the doors? Are they seeing your stuff out there? Or do they know who you are? Have you introduced yourself to them? That's a big key in local elections, especially when it's going to come down to low turnout, is how many people you talk to.
It really comes down to marketing, doesn't it? It's the same as business. You really got to market yourself out there.
Retail politics and small turnout races is important.
Well, it does. But guys, there's also the factor, there's a lot of things outside your control. Really, you have no control over events. Like right now, elections are being influenced by the Iran war and the perceptions of the Iran war, also being influenced by the Democrats' fairy tale narrative of affordability. For 4 years, they denied inflation while we watch prices double. Yeah. They doubled. Everything's twice what it cost 5 years ago. They denied it. And as soon as Trump comes in, oh my gosh, he's been in office for a week and eggs are still $9 a carton. Well, yeah, because Joe Biden murdered 60,000 hens laying eggs, man, or 60 million hens.
It takes a while to get those back.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. You don't get 60 million egg-laying hens back overnight. Come on.
But you remember that they did use Trump's words against him by saying he said on day one this was going to happen on day one. It's like, yeah, that's a figure of speech, by the way. But they were very literal to hold his feet to the fire on that one.
Yeah, if you don't know by now, to take what Trump says with a grain of salt and realize that it's the spirit of what he says. Like I can end the Ukraine war on day one. That was never going to happen. Anyone that actually believed that is a fool.
Well, I was going to bring up earlier, we were talking about this deal he was trying to work out with Iran. And I was thinking, do you think he threw that peace proposal or that ceasefire proposal up to Iran thinking they would reject it and then, it just kind of work out in his favor?
I don't know. It's interesting because I was interviewed for the Business Network in South Africa, and I was asked a question about what's going on here, about whether they're meeting or not, because Trump says they're meeting and the Iranians say they're not meeting, and then they're mocking the president. But then the Pakistanis say that the Iranians are actually considering the offer. The Iranians said something that the first part didn't make any sense, so there's no credibility. But the second one does have a degree of credibility. Let me cover those 2 points. The first point was that, well, Trump is trying to, have this so-called ceasefire, which is not a ceasefire. It's just, a pause on certain targeting, but they're still bombing the snot out of Iran. But it's a reprieve for certain targets like the power grid and the oil facilities. So the reprieve, or as they call it, a ceasefire, they said, well, he's doing that because he needs time to get forces in the region. Folks, we don't need time to get forces in the region. We got Marines on ships. We've got all the ships there. We have air dominance. Not a single aircraft has been shot down. So that isn't even plausible. But what they did say,
we're flying B-52s over your territory. We own your skies.
Exactly, and we own the Arabian Gulf, despite the stupidity going on in the Strait of Hormuz. But the second thing they said may have some merit to it. Because if you watch the vicissitudes of the stock market and the oil futures and the price of Brent crude and East Texas light crude, you'll see that the prices spike, the stock market drops, Trump comes back with something reassuring, it goes the other direction, then it goes on for a couple of days. So they're claiming that he's saying these things to ease the pressure on the energy markets. And there might be some truth to that. Trump may be just messing around with the public with these announcements. I don't know, because some of it just doesn't make sense. I mean, look, you can't trust the Iranians any further than you can spit on them. And,
yeah, that's true. Very true.
Notice I didn't say how far you could throw them. I said spit on them. Yeah, you can't trust that government. But, there might be some truth to that. But the bottom line here is that I don't listen to what Trump says for the most part. I watch what he does. That's what matters.
Yeah, because you got to think a sitting president or anyone in a position like that can put out any types of information to mislead your adversaries, which is important. At the same time, even from a political standpoint, you're misleading Democrats for keeping them on their toes. I mean, from a partisan standpoint, I could see some of it. Unless you're in the White House or doing it from official statement, if you will, I wouldn't mess with the Democrats, but I wouldn't have a problem messing with the Iranians. Keep them on their toes. Keep them guessing what you're doing.
Well, I mean, for instance, when you're speaking of the Iranian, or not with Trump taking him literally. So on January 6th, when I was covering events in D.C., he was on the Mall and he was late starting, and I wanted to get to the Capitol building at 1 o'clock because that's when they're in session. That's when the protest was going to be, and I wanted to cover the protest. Initially, I didn't even know Trump was speaking that day. That came later. Just before I left, I found out about it. So Trump gets up there and says, march with me on the Capitol. We're going to demonstrate. And I'm like, okay. Donald Trump is not leaving the ellipse, walking down Constitution Avenue,
right,
walking on the Mall to the Capitol building. I mean, come on. Anybody that actually believed he was going to march out there, take him literally. His point was, go and have your voice be heard. He didn't tell people to commit insurrection.
And he said peacefully.
And he did use the word peacefully. That's right. And he said it several times. But but they twist his words. So it doesn't matter what Trump says. They're going to twist it anyway. I mean, look, who else do we lose this week? I don't think we'll miss him as much, but former FBI director and special counsel Robert Mueller died at the age of 84.
Right. Former Marine.
Yeah, former Marine. That's right, Vietnam. But Robert Mueller passed away at the age of 84.
I promise you this: Donald J. Trump will not be missing him at all.
Oh yeah, look, his intemperate comments are not helpful. But I get why he's upset, but just don't say anything.
He earned the right to say what he wanted to say because he was put through hell and back.
Yeah, I don't dispute that, but it's really classless to do that.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, when Jesse Jackson died, I didn't say anything other than, he's passed away. Now that his funeral's over, there's a little bit of time. He was a racist, race hustling reprobate who was a grifter and stole from the Rainbow Push organization to fund his illegitimate child. And that's all proof. That's all been proven, everything I just said. But I didn't say that, even though it's true when he died, because it's just bad form. President Trump sometimes needs to just, chill. It's not a good look. It's not helpful. And, it really doesn't do anything to build any kind of sense of unity. And I mean, it's his prerogative. But if I were him, I would have waited a couple weeks. Then I would have just, next time I ask about Mueller, I would have just spoke my mind then, like I'm doing about Jesse Jackson now. But Robert Mueller, I don't think any of us are going to miss Robert Mueller. I think he damaged his credibility by accepting the special counsel. I believe he was appointed illegally under the special counsel law. I might be mistaken. I know that Jack Smith was definitely appointed illegally. But the bottom line here is that this is $25 million wasted for a hoax, and nobody was charged with a crime who perpetrated hoax. Not John McCain, who had already passed away, not Hillary Clinton, not the Democratic National Committee, not Christopher Steele. None of these reprobates who distracted this nation, harmed our foreign policy and our national reputation, and tried to steal a presidency by having him impeached. That's what they sought to do. They sought to steal the presidency from Donald Trump. And so he's right to be upset. And Robert Mueller became the tool. But in the end, even he couldn't prove anything. He had to admit there was no collusion. This is all cooked up. But then no charges came from it. So it was complete waste of time, Todd.
Yeah. And a special counsel can follow evidence wherever it goes. And even if it leads to other crimes. And he should have actually went after Hillary Clinton once they realized. But he let her off the hook with a simple statement or something like that, I believe.
Bought and paid for passel of lies from Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele, and the Democratic National Committee. And who sits in Congress? Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She should have been up on charges too.
Yeah, she should have.
Donna Brazile, all of these frauds. Yet they all live elite lives. They all live in mansions and have coastal lives and travel where they want and get these big honorariums for speaking in places, spewing their lies and nonsense. And all of them should be wearing jumpsuits and pantsuits in prison behind bars because they're just vile human beings. And none of them were charged. And that's the problem I have with the Mueller investigation, is that nothing was done to the people who actually defrauded the American people. They committed fraud against us, and they tried to usurp and steal a presidency twice.
Yep, absolutely. And they won't stop at this next election either. I can tell you that. They're going to go at it again.
We're seeing, I see a lot of people turning on Trump during these midterm elections. They're working very, very hard to try to sway. I brought up Nick Fuentes to you guys last weekend when we were closing the show, and this guy started what he calls the Groypers. I don't know what Groyper means. It's some kind of weird made up name, but he calls it his Groyper Army. The guy is a total flake who people think is telling the truth. And the fact of the matter is, being convincing doesn't mean you're being truthful.
Right.
And that's what he's doing. He's being convincing to the point he's saying, well, we shouldn't be going after Iran. And this is what's the problem with Trump is. This is why we got to get Trump out of office. Or we just got to send a message to the GOP. Now he's telling people his base is supposed to be a conservative base, declares that he's an America First movement, right? His America First movement that's supposed to be better than Donald Trump's declares that you should not vote this election to send a message to the GOP. In fact, if you're going to vote at all, vote Democrat. Now, does that not sound like a shill to you?
These people are just frauds. We see so many of them. They're not conservatives. Again, look, this is not about Trump but look, we were here before Trump. We'll be here after Trump. Trump was a Democrat when we were conservatives. When we were defending the country, Todd and I were out there every day defending this country. Trump was a Democrat. We were conservatives, and we fought and bled for this nation. But the reality here is that conservatives will outlast this stuff. These frauds who come along and pretend to be conservatives, and they're just chasing the clicks, the money, the contracts, the attention. They're attention hoes. That's what they are. And there's a whole bunch of them. And we can name some names right now. Candace Owens, Alex Jones, maybe not so much him, but
he seems to be on board with this nonsense.
Okay. Well, Steve Bannon, Tucker Carlson, the list is endless. It's
just nice wording on that one. That's about the truth of it, though.
Well, that's not mine. That's the one true conservative we've got that's still on the radio, and that's shut up, you big dope, Mark Levin.
That's it.
Yeah. Mark Levin is calling him out. They all turned on Mark Levin, so he's just letting them have it. Yeah, and that's shame on them. Mark Levin is true to his word. Anyway, but Mark's got all kinds of nicknames. He calls bloated Bannon. Botox Kelly, Tucker Guitarlson. He's got he's like Trump. He's got nicknames for all of them. But we're finding out that these people are compromised. They claim to be conservatives, and then we find out that they're involved with all sorts of foreign actors. And look, I mean, Tucker Carlson, the guy, when he came up, he was wearing a bow tie. He was the token Republican on CNN, and I couldn't take him seriously. His points weren't that solid. He didn't defend things very well as conservative. Then he shows up on Fox later on, and he replaced Bill O'Reilly. And I thought that he did a fantastic job when he started there. But his ego got bigger and bigger, kind of like Bill O'Reilly's got towards the end there. And then he left there. And when he interviewed Putin, I knew that this was nonsense. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this hour. Stick around with us. We'll see you in the next hour right here on the Common Sense Service.
Broadcasting from 200 Main Street in the beautiful and historic Masonic Building. This is WSMN 1590 AM and WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Streaming live at wsmn.live.
USA Radio News. I'm Ron Warner. Investigators are pointing to several things that may have gone wrong, resulting in an Air Canada plane crashing into an airport fire truck at LaGuardia Airport Sunday, killing 2 pilots. Scott Pringle has the latest.
The NTSB says the fire truck that was crossing the runway was not equipped with a transponder that identifies aircraft and vehicles on a tracking system for air traffic controllers. Also, the NTSB's Doug Brazy says a radio transmission request by those in the airport fire truck to cross the runway may not have reached the controllers.
But that transmission was stepped on by another radio transmission.
Meanwhile, the NTSB says one of the 2 air traffic controllers on duty was busy with several jobs at the time of the crash. Investigators will be interviewing both controllers.
You could have a huge tax break coming your way if you're financing your car purchase. Jack Crumley explains.
You might be able to deduct the interest if you bought and financed a car for personal use in 2025. Chief Tax Information Officer at Jackson Hewitt, Mark Stieber, explains.
If you bought an automobile and you financed part of that purchase in 25 or later years, because this is not just a one-time deal, the interest can be tax deductible up to a maximum of $10,000.
Stieber emphasizes, though, this deduction is only available if final assembly of the auto took place in the U.S., and Stieber says there are plenty of ways to find out.
There are tools, there are VIN lookups, but you kind of know it if you bought one. If it's a Ford or a Chevy or a GM, you can almost rest assured it was assembled in the United States. And if you bought a loan, bang. Now, some of the other cars, the Toyotas, the Mercedes, they have plants here. You need to ask your salesman or your dealer, and they can tell you pretty quick, this is final assembled, you get that money.
The tax filing deadline is Wednesday, April 15th at midnight.
From America's News Network, USA Radio News.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven. You can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Tired of wondering where your money really goes? At Mammoth Nation, we built what was missing. The America First Marketplace. Every brand we feature is 100% American owned and operated, rigorously vetted for their values and committed to supporting our Constitution, law enforcement, and the American dream. When you shop with us, your dollar stays in the neighborhood, supporting families, veterans, and charities like Folds of Honor. No more sending your hard-earned money overseas to the companies that don't respect you here. Your dollar reflects your values. Your dollar, your values. Your America. Join Mammoth Nation today and be part of building a patriot economy by going to truckersunitedforfreedom.com affiliate page and hit that link. American built, America strong. Mammoth Nation.
Hi, Nashua. I'm Perry Cataldo from Choice Benefit Services, your local insurance agent that has dedicated himself to all the Medicare plans in New Hampshire. Whether you're just turning 65, new to Medicare, or already have a plan, I'll explain all your Medicare options and extra benefits that you hear so much about. I ensure you're getting all you're entitled to and all that you deserve. Nashua, don't get fooled again this year. Call Perry Cataldo at 603-461-5550. That's 603-461-5550. Or visit me online at cbsnh.com. That's cbsnh.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And remember, health is wealth.
Continuing the legacy started in 1904, Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument Incorporated continues to provide the same high-quality monument, custom headstone, and stoneworking craftsmanship today that they built their reputation on over 100 years ago, servicing Nashua, New Hampshire, as well as nearby areas in Massachusetts, such as Lowell, Billerica, Chelmsford, and beyond. From creating custom monuments to memorialize, to landscaping and granite work or restorative services, each job is done to your satisfaction and is backed by decades of experience and integrity. If you're thinking about stonework, think Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument. Visit online at gatecitymonument.com. Stop by and meet Roger at 321 West Hollis Street in Nashua, or call 603-883-7141. That's 603-883-7141. Gate City Monument. Memorials of distinction for people who care.
Memorials of distinction for people who care. Gate City Monuments, Todd. We got to do that road trip and get up there and say hi to
one
those
day.
guys.
Yeah, we should figure out a reason to go up to Nashua and be in the studio one night.
Well, I will be coming to Nashua. The question is whether it would be in April or May, because I'm coming to England to visit South African refugees in New Hampshire,
Okay.
Massachusetts, and Connecticut. And I'm not going through New York. I'm going up the
Huh.
Hudson Valley and then going across the less traffic route because I am
Oh,
definitely.
it's John.
Oh, look at oh, now we can see John.
A different
Man,
camera.
it's almost too bright in there now.
Yeah. Yeah.
John, I can see too much. Tone it down.
Oh,
a little
wait,
bit.
I can
Jeez,
fix
wow.
that. I think I got a device here I can fix that so you don't have to look at all that.
There you go.
How's
That's
that?
good. That's much better. There you go.
Yay.
Okay. All right. So yeah, Gate City Monuments. Monuments
I
of
love the
Distinction.
running gag we have with John about the lights every time.
Oh, that was kind of fun, wasn't it?
So, gents, I did find the article written by the Drakensberg Boys Choir. I'm going to read that now, if you'll indulge me, okay?
Please.
In loving memory of John Tungay. So, we remember with deep respect and gratitude the life and legacy of our founder, John R. Tungay. His middle name was Ronald. His commitment to the growth and development of his country, South Africa, was as unwavering as his dedication to education. He believed firmly that education was not only a pathway to personal success, but a powerful tool to uplift communities and build a stronger nation. John's vision went beyond the walls of the classroom. He worked tirelessly to create opportunities for young people, instilling in them the values of discipline, integrity, and perseverance. His passion for learning and his desire to see others succeed became the cornerstone of everything he built. Through his leadership, he established an environment where both students and educators could thrive, a place rooted in purpose, guided by strong principles, and driven by excellence. His influence continues to be felt in every life touched by his work. Those who knew him will remember him not only his determination and leadership, but also his belief in people, his ability to see potential where others may not, and his willingness to invest in that potential. Though he's no longer with us, his legacy lives on in the strength of the institution he founded and in the countless individuals who continue to benefit from his vision. May we honor his memory by continuing the work he so passionately began and by striving each day to contribute to the growth and development of our country, just as he did. Rest in peace, John Tungay. Your impact will be never forgotten. Yeah, we should all be so remembered when we pass. That's really nice stuff. He founded the Drakensberg Boys Choir in 1967, became world famous and renowned. He met Queen Elizabeth. He hung around with Nelson Mandela, Mangosuthu Buthelezi, world figures, and thousands of young men have attended that institution since the 60s. And as I said, he started another school in his 80s in Howick, the town he lived in, where he passed away, in Natal. And that was the Drakendale Girls School, but now it's open to all sexes. So it's a high school for kids, private school, and it does a fantastic job. Those kids that go there are artistically talented, and they really are. I mean, I've been there. I've watched them. They can sing, they can dance, they can play instruments, and they can even act. Truly amazing youth. And so pretty cool stuff. And so a life well lived. And so good innings. Thanks for indulging me. Let me read that. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that with, I know we've got some South Africans watching the program. If you are in South Africa or if you're here in the States, the memorial for him will be Thursday. It's already Thursday for South Africans at 4:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be 10:15 in South Africa Thursday morning. If you want to watch it, it is on Facebook. I'll put that link right now into my YouTube. Anybody that's out there, if they're watching my YouTube, there's a link for John Tungay's memorial. If you'd like to watch it online, it will be broadcast. Now, I hope that they don't screw it up and they make it work, because I'll be getting up at 4 o'clock to watch it. So, I mean, I hate to get up at 4 o'clock and then I can't see it. That would be a little frustrating. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so not to bring everybody down, but I mean, that's not really meant to bring you down, but it's really more to talk about, a life well lived. But guys,
celebrate.
What is with Jesse Ventura? This guy, has he always been a nut job? I thought he was a nut job when he ran for governor in Minnesota, but he is a wackadoodle. He's, geez.
Listen, you don't understand on the SEALs. I was, like he's always talking about the Navy SEALs, like he was some super duper guy. It's like most of the SEALs I've heard talk about him, like he was just barely went through whatever, which, hey, you barely went through, you're still a Navy SEAL, but did not much of anything as a SEAL though. But he claims to have done all sorts of this stuff that nobody can really say that he did, which most of it's made up, I think.
I don't know what he did as a Navy SEAL, but I think he's sniffing glue now. I mean, I really think he's sniffing glue. He claims that Trump faked the assassination attempt in Butler. He says he faked it.
He's always been a little out there with the conspiracy theories and stuff.
I'm sorry. Didn't Obama's official photographer who was there covering the event catch the bullet going through the air right by his head? I don't know. You fake that. I don't know. You fake that.
How do you fake the death of people, who were killed?
Right. People who died in the audience that were clearly shot.
Yeah, it's
they may not have faked that part. Now, if you were staging something, that might be a risk, right? If you're getting into the conspiracy theory, but
you would have to trust whoever the shooter is to shoot at the audience member that you want to. You don't want yourself shot, right? A lot of trust, and of course, there's a lot of people out there. If this is real, for sure, it's not. But a lot of people involved in such a conspiracy, even just the handful of people that it would take, how many you would have to kill, or how much money you would have to pay them to keep them quiet. And they would be looking over their shoulder the rest of their life if this was staged. Sorry, it wasn't staged, my friend.
No, it wasn't staged, but there's definitely a conspiracy here. Joe Biden said we have to take this guy out, his political opponent. And then Dr. Jill Biden, not even a real doctor, gets a Secret Service detail. She's not even a federal official in Pittsburgh, a short distance away, which has twice the presence of the detail for the former president of the United States at a campaign rally. They allow ability to be occupied, not checked by the folks there. Piss poor coordination between local law enforcement and the Secret Service. No one in the tower in Overwatch. The snipers were out of position. They couldn't even see because of the sun initially. Look, there was definitely a conspiracy here to murder the president. There's no doubt about it. Look, the Secret Service is not that inept. There's no way. And why isn't there an investigation? Why do we not know about this Thomas Crooks guy almost 2 years later? We're approaching 2 years and we still don't know jack squat about this guy. There's definitely a conspiracy here. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there's a conspiracy to cover up the truth. And why is the truth being covered up? And where is Pam Bondi investigating the people who took away our constitutional rights during the lockdown? These idiots who suspended religious freedom, who suspended freedom of speech, who colluded, cajoled, coerced the tech giants to silence speech. Where are these charges, Pam Bondi? That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. I don't really care about you going after Nancy Pelosi. She'll die incredibly wealthy. That's
right.
Nothing's going to happen. No one cares about Hillary Clinton.
No.
She's senile. We don't care. She's like a crank. She's like, who is the from Hee Haw and the Ruth Buzzy, with the hair back, she's a Ruth Buzzy of the 21st century. That's who Hillary Clinton is. She's a senile old lunatic. Nobody cares about her. And quite frankly, no one's going to get prosecuted for the Epstein files. Can we focus on the people who violated the Constitution? They violated the most sacred tenets of our canon of laws in the Constitution, our Bill of Rights. And nothing is happening to Joe Biden. Nothing is happening to the White House. Nothing is happening to any of them. And these people colluded, cajoled, and coerced tech companies, and nothing is being done. That's where's Pam Bondi on this? I don't care that you want to prosecute Yale for anti-Semitic attacks. Just don't give them any money. Case closed. That's how you hurt them. Going after them with civil rights violations. How about you focus on people who took away our constitutionally protected rights? Where is this? There's nothing being done about it. No one's up in arms. Am I the only American who's upset about this?
No, you're not. I'm sitting there thinking as you said that there was he used to bank over some bank Rothschild owned or whatever in France, and they went after him based on the Epstein files as far as investigation goes for his involvement with trafficking or whatever he was doing. So something did actually come out of the Epstein files so far, but no real genuine.
Oh, well, things are coming out in Europe.
Yeah,
right. In Europe, but the Europeans, they don't even have the evidence. They're basically convicting people without the evidence because they're not real courts.
The only thing they're really going after people in Europe is financial crimes, fraud in official duties. They're not going after them for anything sexually or sexual assault related or rape related. I don't think.
I know that everybody thinks Prince Andrew was gone after for something sexually related. It had nothing to do had to do with him abusing his position and his authority.
Right, official misconduct, which he was doing some financial dealings. That's why they got him.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with it.
He disclosed classified information. Jeffrey Epstein is what he did.
Right.
So basically, the Official Secrets Act
had nothing to do with his sexual relation with anybody underage or anything at all.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, Chris. Look, I wanted to see heads roll from the Epstein files too, and I was pretty adamant about that on the show. I think something should come out of it. However, at this point in time, if nothing's coming out of it, it's time to move on and start making some real arrests. And if they can go after the people you're talking about for violating our rights, which is a crime, do it. Do that, but do something that you can actually effectuate. Stop wasting our time with nonsense and BS talk.
It can be done. We've had the evidence since Elon Musk bought Twitter. And that's why they're coming after him now, trying to claim he defrauded investors. They're coming after him for all this other stuff because he has the evidence. what was that guy, that independent journalist that gave him access, Matt Taibbi or whatever his name was, gave him access to all this stuff. They have the proof. They have the emails between the White House communications team, between the National Security Council, between the National Institutes for Health, the CDC, telling Facebook to censor channels, to take content down, to telling YouTube to block people like me who are simply reporting the facts. I got strikes on YouTube for reporting what Fauci said. But Fauci on the government website could say the same thing on YouTube. And I'm simply saying what he said. And question.
You do realize that Biden had the Office of Digital Strategy. It's been there for a while. Biden did have that office. And you don't think for a second he wasn't promoting people like Harry Sisson on TikTok to advance his agenda?
Yeah, all these people with their fake accounts and their fake followers and no talent and just a bunch of hacks. Sisson is the biggest one.
That's so funny.
There's a few of them there that he's connected with, and they were all connected with the Office of Digital Strategy when Biden was in office.
Well, they also tried to create the Office of Disinformation. Remember that?
Right.
Yeah. The what was it?
Ministry of Thought Police or whatever.
Yeah,
Todd, why was it funny?
Information or something like that was the
so it's funny you talk about fake accounts. We have somebody running for our county mayor. One of their best friends has actually set up a fake account to help promote them as if they're an undecided voter out here. It's like everybody knows who it is, but they're still playing on these social media platforms and talk groups or chat groups. Oh, I'm just an undecided voter, but I'm leaning toward this candidate. Here's why. It's like, we know who you are and what you're doing. Come on now.
He's his own shill. Or he's,
the person won't admit it, though. The person won't admit it.
But they do this in politics. They'll do that, like, say, with camera angles, right? So you'll have somebody like Hillary Clinton comes to New Hampshire and she's campaigning. And here she's got a crowd of 20 people, but they'll try to hit the camera angles to look like the room is full. Yeah, or they will have a large stadium or room full of people, but they'll put plants in there to ask questions because they're controlled. They don't want you or me going in there and asking her questions because we might catch her off guard. So they give somebody questions to ask and they plant them there.
Yeah, and Dems are synonymous with having their staff members that are usually following with them as hanger-ons, strap hangers, as going out and filling up the audience too. That they're notorious for that because they don't get a large audience, so they'll have 30 or 40 staffers that will come out and fill it. Yeah, oh yeah,
yeah, kind of like what was that? Remember Seinfeld? Kramer was a seat filler,
right?
Because they wanted to put the cameras. They always wanted the seats filled.
Tony, yeah. Tony's taking me to dinner.
Yeah. So no, they play these games, man. It's all just Holstein. That's all it is. It's just crap. And they think they're fooling people anymore, but they don't realize the American people have caught on to these games. American people understand things like an emotional appeal and all these little psychologies they play on. It's the same way marketers do when they're advertising to us. They use the same skills, and we're kind of catching on to all that stuff. So now it's not working, and it's kind of laughable. Like you were just laughing a moment ago because you're watching them work. You know exactly what they're doing, and they're acting like they're the only ones in the know.
Well, we know what they're doing before they do it. That's how obvious and telegraphed it is.
The thing is, they're not going to prosecute anybody. We know nobody's ever going to be prosecuted. If anybody's ever prosecuted here in the U.S., it'll be a low-level staffer on some other charge, not quite related to the main charge anyway. It'll be a misdemeanor slap on the wrist. They'll move on and say, see, look, we did something with the millions upon millions of dollars. We went after one little staffer. We did nothing else. And also at the same time, think about this. How much fundraising did they do whenever a scandal breaks? Whether it's Russia collusion, whether it's whatever the case may be. In Iran right now, the Democrats are trying to raise money off of Iran. So whatever it is, they're always raising money off of it, but they're never prosecuting anybody. And of course, wars are never prosecuted properly either. That's another problem.
Yep. So they get people emotionally wound up and on the issue and go, hey, but we need to raise campaign funds to get people there to fight this atrocity that we just created.
Well, it's like the poor leaders in the army who allow things to fall apart, and then they're good at crisis management that they created.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's like, wow, what a great job he did. No, he didn't do a great job. We have a mess because he sat back and let it happen. So, but it's funny. Those people always come out smell like a rose. You know that there aren't many people actually catch
I had
on.
a first sergeant like that. He was just god awful first sergeant. And he would always have to call the sergeant major, like at the end of the week on a Friday. Let me call the sergeant major, see if he has something for us. I'm like, first sergeant, you're the first sergeant. If you have nothing for us, we can go. I said, I have nothing for my platoon. I'm letting them go. Well, let's keep a skeleton crew just in case sergeant major wants us to do something. I'm like, he's not going to want us to do anything. He's far removed from us. We don't need to call him to ask permission to leave work on a Friday at 1700. Sorry.
Well, these are the people that train to time, not to standard, and they irritate me to no end. Irritate me to no end. They really have no concept of what they're doing, yet they wear a uniform. You know, when I came in the Army in 1983, got to my first unit in 84 after my initial entry training, we had a lot of NCOs that were functionally illiterate. They were conscripts who were brought into the Army during the Vietnam era, about a decade prior, a little bit more than a decade prior. And I remember getting counseling statements from my squad leader, and I couldn't even understand it. He couldn't write. I mean, I'm not laughing. I'm just saying that was the reality. In fact, when my first year and a half in my unit in Germany, most of our NCOs, staff sergeants and sergeants first class, were never in the motor pool for 3 days a week because they went to BSEP, Basic Skills Education Program. So the Army sent them to become literate and to learn math skills, which was good. But, you know, it would have been nice to have done it years prior, and it paid off. But I mean, that's, you know, it just, anyway.
When I came in, I didn't know what BSEP was. I'm like, why are these NCOs going to BSEP? Is this some sort of training that they're going to? They help them promote them or whatever. I was like, I want to go to BSEP. They're like, you graduated high school, you're good. I'm like, all right.
You can read and write. You don't need to go to this thing. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's what it's all about, because these guys just didn't have the skills. And I understand that. But, you know, it's anyway. Guys.
Yeah, we had an old sergeant major who was, you know, approaching 30 years when I came in the Army in the mid 90s, and he'd been in the Army since Vietnam, and one of those old crusty guys, couldn't, you know, conjugate a sentence, but he could talk about a weapon system all day long. You know, he was that good. He could talk about
look, you don't have to have an education to be smart.
That's true.
You do have to have an education to be literate.
That's true. I agree with you.
Yeah.
100%.
So, I mean, you know, I know a lot of smart people that have never, you know, gone beyond high school, a lot of very smart people, but you have to be able to read and write in order to function in society. You know, it's otherwise it's just a problem. Anyway, it was good to see the Army actually do that. And, you know, in some ways it's actually pretty cool, because as a young troop, I had a lot of autonomy. I mean, I could do what needed to be done. I learned, I got myself dug in there to have somebody standing on my shoulders, because like 3 days a week, the NCOs weren't around. while the cat's away, the mice will play, you know?
I love it. Yeah. And I remember, this is pre 9/11. I would send my troops, if we had nothing going on, like in a, you know, they did really well in the field exercise, and like, hey, I'm gonna give you the afternoon and go to the simulation center, which meant go to your barracks. Don't leave your barracks room until I tell you. You know, and first sergeant or the platoon sergeant would ask, where are they at? I'm like, oh, they're at the sim center. They're like, man, that McKinley's always training those soldiers. I'm like, absolutely, first sergeant. Absolutely. They're learning Call of Duty for sure.
Yeah, remember those Be All You Can Be ads? Good morning, first sergeant.
Yeah, after they climbed the rock and hit coffee up there.
Oh my goodness. There's a hungry kind of feeling, and every day it grows. You know there's so much more to you than anybody knows. Keep on reaching, keep on growing. Be all that you can be.
I love it.
Find your future in the Army.
And every one of those commercials, they put everything they could possibly in that would never be in the same shot. Like
gamma goats, artillery, tanks, helicopters.
Yeah, everything's in it. You know.
Oh my goodness! Hey, it worked though, man. That hook got a whole bunch of us.
I love it.
Be all you can be inspired me. I'm telling you, that's still the best ad campaign ever, man. I mean, that's better. 100%. That's better than Bounty, the quicker picker upper, you know, or where's the beef? You know?
or that's better than, hey, are you obese at home and 42 and haven't done much? Come on into the Army now.
Get out of your mother's cellar at 42 years of age.
Come on out. Come on out. Stop playing video games and do it for real in the Army.
Crawl out from behind that screen, that keyboard. Leave the Cheetos on the table.
I'm the warrior, the keyboard warriors. I'm the warrior.
Yes. Become a real warrior. Leave mom's basement. Join the Army at 42.
Yeah, you paint your face whenever you go out protesting. You know, all kinds of wild colors. You can also paint your face in the Army.
You do. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we do paint our face. We put camouflage paint on it. Well, that stuff, I hated that stuff. I mean, I put it on, but I used to hate it. That stuff was nasty. Yeah, we probably all going to get some kind of cancer from that stuff at some point.
Oh yeah.
And they couldn't get a stuff that worked. It was always, especially if it's cold, it's like ripping your skin off trying to put it on. If it was cold, you'd have to get a lighter out to light it. You know, it's
then it really gets into your pores, and
yeah, no, it's just really nasty stuff that they use, you know, and like if you get it on, it's almost like skid marks in underwear. So, you know, it doesn't want to go up properly. Oh my goodness!
This is the same government entity that was handing out spam one day, right?
I had a private no joke. He brought Halloween face paint for the field and he camouflaged his face. And like, no, it's not the same stuff. You got to take that off. It's all shiny and stuff. I'm like, God,
I'll tell you,
going to get one over.
The one thing that was one of the coolest improvements I thought as a troop that was in the field is, and not everybody liked it, but I didn't mind it, when we went from steel pots to Kevlar helmets. The Kevlar helmet provided protection, real protection, as opposed to steel pot, which is just on your head. But that steel pot, you can never get that leather strap inside to fit comfortable, and that webbing at top always pushed down in your hair and gave you pain. And the chin strap was terrible. I hated those things. But then when the Kevlar came out, I always wore a small Kevlar, which is light, man. You know, that thing was light. Those large, man, that thing was heavy. It was like Rick Moranis in Spaceballs.
Right. You know? Like the women who had a lot of hair got the large, and it just looked so weird on their head because they had all the hair. You know.
Now they can let their ponytails hang down their backs. So don't worry about it anymore. But no, the Kevlar was. But a lot of guys didn't like it when it first came out because they used to, you know, shave and heat their water up and pour it into the steel pot, so they could shave and, you know, and clean and do a little cleaning of the field. But I was in the Signal Corps at this time, and I had my own shelter with a convenience plug, or plug in the outlet.
Yes, indeed.
Running. And so I had a little coffee pot in there, even though I didn't drink coffee, which I'd use to heat up my water. So I could put my MREs inside my canteen cup and then heat them up. And I would use that to pour into my steel pot to shower. But after that, I just kept a little saucer bucket there so I could wash myself. But yeah, but most people didn't have that convenience. But everywhere I went in the field, I had my own electricity. Never a problem.
That's it. I love that. I remember we were at NTC and like we didn't have a mission. We were attached to, I forget, like a CAV unit or whatever, and we didn't have a mission at the moment. And we were like, well, what are we going to do? Where do you want to sleep? I was like, let's just sleep in the shelter. We did that. We didn't open the vent on it. And next thing you know, we're waking up in the middle of the night like, man, my chest is tight. We were about to suffocate in that thing because we did not open the vent. Oh, my goodness. But anyway.
Yeah, it's funny how some of the most trivial things stick with you. I remember two events that occurred when we went to the live fire range in basic training at Fort Leonard Wood. It was cold because it was January. We went to the live fire range, and, of course, they're firing live ammunition at you, but, you know, it's like 30 feet over your head, you know, so but they don't tell you that when you go out there. So you see the tracer zipping over your head when you're crawling on the ground, like, dang. But it was very cold. I mean, super cold out there in Missouri. And I saw two things that day. One was pretty cool. The other was kind of annoying. The first was, it was the first time I ever saw A-10s. A-10s were flying from Chanute Air Force Base, Illinois, down to Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri. They flew over the live fire range from where the rounds are fired, and I didn't hear anything. And I look up, and there's a plane going right over my head, like 100 feet off the ground, or maybe 200 feet off the ground. And then you heard as it went by. And that was my introduction to the A-10 Warthog. I was like, wow, that's incredible. And then, you know, next time they actually played a part in my life is when they were taking out tanks in the Gulf War, and I was grateful for that.
Yeah.
So that was one thing.
So you basically heard what the enemy hears. Nothing.
Yeah, except they didn't blow me up.
Right. Yeah.
You didn't hear the boom. The earth-shattering boom.
Well, there's no earth-shattering because
they don't. A big fart sound.
Right, because they don't. Yeah, they don't move.
No, you said you didn't get blown up. I saying you didn't hear the boom, the earth-shattering boom.
Yeah. But they did fire in the live fire range, and I heard that stuff. But no, the second thing was the warm-up tent. Okay, we're talking the temperature was probably about 6 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and there was snow on the ground. And the warm-up tent, I walked in, it was like, I could not breathe because everybody was smoking. And when you walk in, you can see the light in the tent, and you can see that there's smoke down below my knee level before you find clear air. Everything else, and I was just choking in there. I went outside and froze outside. I couldn't stand there. So you know those mittens you have, the long ones that they're leather here, and they come all the way up with a strap here that's elastic. I had those things on, man. I was putting them under my armpits with my park on outside, and it was just that will be seared in my memory forever. all those selfish people smoking in the warm-up tent instead of going outside, and we're all choking in
Yeah,
there.
that's not right.
But a lot of people were smoking back then. So now we're down to about 16% of adult smoke. But back when I came in the Army, probably about 50% or 60% of adults smoke. And a lot of people in the Army smoke. But that's just those little moments that just stick with you forever. Hey, folks, you're listening to the Common Sense Conservatives right here on WSMN, 1590 on your AM dial, 95.3 on your FM dial. You can catch us at wsmn.live on the internet if you just want to listen, or if you want to see how dead sexy we might be or might not be, you can see us on camera via YouTube on, as Todd likes to call it, the interwebs. You can find us on the Truckers Independent Broadcasting Network and on at Colonel Chris Wyatt, both on YouTube. If you want to watch the program, be sure to tune in. Occasionally I flip back and forth. Like last week, we had a guest who would have got me fired on YouTube if I had him on YouTube. So we put him on Rumble. John says he deleted his broadcast, and I hope he still has his channel.
I do actually. There's
Good.
people on it right now enjoying the show.
All right. Well, look, when you've been burned like I have, you don't take a chance.
I don't have a big risk like you do. You have a great following. I don't have that kind of following, but it was to my understanding if you put something on there and you delete it right away, you're okay. But then you told me otherwise last week, so I'm like, well, what's done is done. I'll delete it and see what happens.
Well, I mean, again, when my channel went away, my original channel back in 2021, April 2021, they took it away from me. They deleted the channel over a video that did not exist. I had deleted that video a month prior, and it had been on YouTube for 4.5 months without any problems. But then they claimed to have changed the community standards. And it's unfair to go back and retroactively take someone's channel away for something that you had approved of, and now you've changed your mind. At best, what you should do is send a message saying, the community rules have now changed. We've noticed your video no longer complies because we've changed it. Can you make it private or remove your video? That would be reasonable, not take my channel away. But anyway.
Right.
Yeah, that would be sensible. I mean, it's abusive to do otherwise. It doesn't make sense. I remember that time they give you a strike, took down your video, you challenged it, they put back up your video, then gave you a second strike on the video they put back up, and so you took 2 hits on it.
Yep. So, guys, I have the election statistics for my county here in Pennsylvania for the November election 2025, if you're curious, and off your election. Anybody curious?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. 322,851 registered voters, but only 167,267 votes cast. That's barely 50%, just over. There were 122,000 election day ballots, 44,000 mail-in absentee ballots, and 747 provisional ballots. That was for the November election. So as a judge of elections, they give us this data occasionally, and they just sent this out to us in newsletters. So yeah, there you have it, folks. Pretty crazy, huh?
So people aren't coming out to vote like they used to. But you tell me the majority of people are mailing them in.
No. The mail-ins were only 44,000 out of 167,000 cast.
Oh, okay.
So about 25%? Yeah, about 25% were mail-in ballots. That's about 25% too much.
Yeah, it's still a lot, isn't it? I mean,
I think it is a lot. That's a lot that they've got to sift through, 44,000 votes. Whereas if they just came to the balloting station, they would put the ballot in the machine. It would be counted. We'd have the original ballot for proof. And then at the end of the night, we could, we turn them in as soon as they have all the votes in. They could certify the election instead of playing around for days after the election and undermining trust and confidence in the process.
Well, the federal law does say that you're supposed to, election day is final day, and they kind of violated that one when they extended it, didn't they?
Well, I mean, look, it's not, here's the thing. It's an election, not election season. That's the problem. These are 6 weeks before an election, you can vote. That's utter nonsense. The only people who should be allowed to vote before an election are people in care facilities for an absentee ballot, business people traveling outside their state, or maybe somebody's not going to be available at home in the state during that time because you're visiting a sick family or something like that out of the state. You're not able to go to the polling station, or military. That's it. And also, once again, I will advocate this again. I've been advocating for years. The first Tuesday of every November should be a federal holiday. Just drop Juneteenth and make Election Day a holiday. No excuse not to carry your bottom to the polling station, and stop this nonsense, this fraud that's been going on for decades. This should be the most sacred civic responsibility that an American citizen has, but it's been turned into an absolute farce, a joke in much of the country. This mail-in ballot is just a scam. And I know people who find it convenient, but I'm sorry. Voting shouldn't be convenient. It should be something you have to participate in. You have to go do. You have to want to do. Making it convenient gives people who have very little stake. Look, it's like getting the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes in the mail. Well, nothing to lose here. No sweat. I'll just fill it out and we'll see what happens. That is not what an informed electorate is supposed to be doing. An informed electorate is supposed to be involved in the process. And I'm not a fool. I realize that most people don't pay that close attention to politics. But
No.
like right now, it's shocking to me to see the poll results I looked at here talking about the number of Americans that are more concerned about the price of gasoline than destroying Iran's capability to threaten its neighbors in the world. I don't think these people grasp what would have happened here. With 60% enriched uranium, over 435 kilograms, enough to make 10 nuclear weapons within 2 weeks if they've been allowed to continue enrichment. That means that by now, 3 weeks after the war started, they could have and likely would have bombed Israel with nuclear weapons, obliterating Israel, killing millions of people, irradiating the Middle East, and touching off. This war would have come anyway. But the difference is we would have had 6 million dead people.
Yeah,
they would.
Forget about your gas prices. You're not going to be driving around anywhere at that point. You're done.
And here's the other thing. You know, Iranian and Korean missiles may not be able to reach us from launching in their territory, but ships at sea, cargo ships, can carry missiles, and they can put them on top of ships and launch them off the coast of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Iran can threaten us from Pasadena, from San Diego, from Jacksonville, from Norfolk, from the Chesapeake Bay. They don't have to be very far. All this fancy talk in Hollywood about suitcase bombs blowing up arenas in Baltimore when what's his name? Morgan Freeman is the president, clear whatever that movie was.
And national security advisor, but yeah, you got it.
Yeah, whatever. He was in that role. One of those.
I know.
Yeah, that way. But I mean, you don't need that. All you need is a boat off the shore that's a commercial ship that there's no question about. And we have Armageddon. Yeah. These people will launch Armageddon. Their belief in their faith is so perverted that they believe that they must kill all the infidels, which is someone who's not a Muslim, and even they have the right to kill Muslims if they don't agree with. And they believe that they can precipitate the end of days and all go to heaven and get their 72 virgins because they eliminate the rest of us. And they will force the end of days by launching nuclear war. They're that zealot. They're that crazy. They're that much. Zealotry is real. And people don't realize this. I don't want a negotiated settlement. I want the Iranian theocracy obliterated, absolutely destroyed and wiped out. And I hope that Trump has already 9,000 targets. I hope to hit 39,000 targets by the time we get to the 60 days. This 15-point plan, I don't want to hear about the 15-point plan. I want this threat neutralized once and for all. That's what I want.
Yeah, that would be all right by me. Just be done with them. They can have a new government, whatever, put whatever constitution they want in place. Leave us alone. You're not going to be radicalized anymore. If you do, we may be back very soon.
I think that would be the best outcome for all of civilized society. If we get the Shah go back in there, if they were to bring him back in or whatever, would be a lot better than what they have now.
Man. Look, here's the problem. If Trump ends this war now, he will have defanged the theocracy for the rest of his presidency.
Yeah.
But when the next president comes back in, they will have re-equipped, rearmed, retrained, rebuilt, and they'll threaten their neighbors, and we'll be right back where we are, except next time there won't be a president with the nads to do what Trump has done. We haven't had a president since 1979 who's had the audacity to attack the Iranians in this fashion. It was long overdue. They launched a war against us in 1979 and have murdered thousands, not dozens, thousands of American citizens and soldiers ever since then, caused chaos throughout the Middle East and caused planes to be blown up in the air and caused regimes to fall. They are dangerous. They are an end of days cult, and they are satanic in my view, and they need to be wiped out from the face of the earth. And we don't need to negotiate with them. We need to obliterate them.
Yes.
Yep, period. Be done with it.
We're not getting any arguments on this show.
Yeah, you have people in this country that think that we can bring about the end of days too by just going up there and start blowing stuff up too. I mean, we have some nutters here.
Well, look,
there were concerns about that, but China's not in a position to do anything.
Okay,
Russia's definitely not in a position to do anything. It was
right.
I think it might have been calculated.
Let's put this in perspective. Russia is not a real country. It's an oligarchy run by a bunch of oligarchs and autocrats who run a fascist, totalitarian state, and they pilfer all the wealth. If it wasn't for nuclear weapons, nobody would even pay any attention to Russia. It is a dying country with high rates of alcoholism, cancer, and a declining birth rate, a shrinking population that can't even control its borders. Within 3 or 4 decades, Russia's East Asia holdings will be overrun by the Chinese, who simply pour across the border and colonize Russia because not enough Russians to stop them. That's coming. You heard it here first, long before it happened. Russia is an unimportant actor, save for the fact they have nuclear weapons. The Russians can't even beat a half-rate, under-equipped, under-resourced army where men fled the country to go hang out in Germany or the U.S. rather than do their duty and defend their nation. They can't even beat a third-rate power in Ukraine. We're talking about years now this conflict is going on, and they have not done anything with their most advanced weapon systems and their best trained troops, and it's a disaster. It's a complete disaster. The Russians and their vaulted air defense systems, which can take down American aircraft and finer stealth aircraft, what a joke. Every single air defense system was silenced by our cyber warfare and our jamming techniques, suppression of enemy air defense, when we went into Venezuela and we extradited Nicolas Maduro without a casualty. The Chinese did nothing, said nothing to come to their friends' help there. The Chinese have done nothing, have said nothing to come to Iran's help. The Russians supposedly providing some intelligence, but obviously isn't paying off very well. Russia and China are paper tigers. China is a threat. They're a paper tiger when it comes to supporting their friends because they won't confront us. But they are a threat in their region. The problem is containing them and keeping them from expanding beyond the South China Sea.
That was the biggest concern, is that if we went after Iran, will China go after Taiwan?
No. And I said that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but that was a concern. But China's in no position. China's in no position to do anything.
Well, though China is in a position to do some things, it threatens its neighbors. It's damaged the coral atolls in the South China Sea, the Spratly Islands, the Paracel Islands, by building artificial islands on coral atolls and destroying them and creating bases and naval yards there, intercepting and disrupting traffic. They have assaulted Vietnamese and Filipino commercial shipping and coast guards, attacking them with water cannons and boxing them in and colliding with ships and endangering life at sea. They're a threat in their region, and they need to be contained. But it's not a hollow paper tiger. It's real.
To my understanding,
but it will do nothing for its friends.
There's some issues going on internally with China.
Oh yeah, they've wiped out all their senior leaders. They don't trust their military.
Yeah,
because the communists are losing control. So they've been removing and eliminating their senior leaders.
So
same thing happened in North Korea.
So that's what I mean. Like going to war against the United States or coming to Iran's defense just isn't in the cards for them.
Well, the difference is China has millions under arms, and they have a navy that has more ships than ours does. How well they can maneuver and be effective is another question. They really only have like one aircraft carrier, but things are changing, and they also have nuclear weapons, and that makes them a credible threat. That's why Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. We cannot have them being a credible or dangerous threat. I mean, it's bad enough Pakistan and Israel have nuclear weapons. We don't need Iran having them. You notice Israel hasn't used any nuclear weapons against Iran. They could.
Well, nobody even knows if they really have them or not. It's undeclared.
All right, let's just say the following. I can neither confirm nor deny that they have nuclear weapons. Israel has nuclear weapons.
Yes, right, correct.
That's what they
100%.
say, but nobody's
I agree with
confirmed
what
it,
you
right?
just said.
So have they ever undergone an inspection?
I don't need an inspection to know that they have nuclear weapons.
But my point is
case closed.
Undeclared. Nobody knows if they really have them or don't have them.
Well,
They've kept that one under their hat.
Isn't it better to not know and keep them guessing?
For Israel, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Well, yeah, there were what was in the 70s or something. There was a nuclear signal that went off somewhere. Somebody was testing a nuke, and we don't know what nation actually did it. Somewhere near, I don't know where it was exactly, but it was south of Africa somewhere. I don't know. And
South Africa had nuclear weapon. They tested a nuclear device.
So they tested them too, right?
Africa.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they had a nuclear weapon. They disarmed. They're the only country to dismantle the nuclear weapons program. It was all done.
But I remember reading about, and I forget when it was. It was probably in foreign policy or whatever, talking about maybe an Israeli nuclear test, but they've never owned up to it or something. I can't remember when it was, but
no, that was the South African. It may have had Israeli cooperation.
Okay,
which is, that's possible. There was
what it was.
Speculation that was the case because Israel supported the apartheid regime. So there was speculation on that, but yeah, South Africa
Israel an opportunity to do a test without being noticed.
Exactly,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So, gee,
hey, if we do all this and this and have this, it works. Okay, we're good.
You may wonder why I said I can neither confirm or deny that Israel has nuclear weapons. Israel has nuclear weapons.
You didn't confirm or deny. You just made a statement without
that's exactly right. Yeah, you can believe it or you can disbelieve it. That's your choice.
You gave yourself a loophole up front. I love it.
Well, apparently I'm learning politics.
Yeah, that's true. I love it. You know intel. Now you got to learn politics and how to apply the two together.
Exactly. Anyway, yeah, no, it's crazy, but this is a wild one here, guys. Let me see if I find this really quick here. So Muhuzi Kairenugaba Kagame, who is the son of Yoweri Museveni. How he gets a different name, I don't know, but he is the commander of the Ugandan Defense Force, Uganda People's Defense Force, UPDF. And he said the following on Twitter today. This is interesting. This is a Black African nation in East Africa. We want the war in the Middle East to end now. The world is tired of it. But any talk of destroying or defeating Israel will bring us into the war on the side of Israel, exclamation point. 573,000 views. Wow, that's a pretty profound statement from Uganda, saying that they have no way to project any power from Uganda to the Middle East, but threatening to join the war on the side of Israel. This is very much counter to what most African nations believe. Most of them are supporters of the Palestinian terrorists, and so they also either agnostic about Iran but nobody in Africa defends Israel, but Uganda is defending, and they're not alone. There's a couple prominent people in Africa now talking up. They're tired of the anti-Semitism, the attacks on Israel. I think that's a rather shocking development to hear that an African leader. But this guy says all kinds of crazy stuff, so I wouldn't put too much stock in it. I actually know him personally.
Really? Okay. Wow. Is he just blustering, or is he just this is the flavor of the month?
He says stuff to get attention, and when I knew him, he'd been promoted to 1-star in Uganda, and he wasn't saying crazy stuff. He was reasonable, rational person. But his father just doesn't want to let go of control. He's been in power since 1986 and won't leave office. So he's getting older. He's probably thinking, well, I'll never become president because my dad won't die till I was 1,000 years old. So I guess I'll just, be outlandish and threaten my neighbors and threaten others.
And Dad's not going to say anything. So.
Yeah, no, I think Museveni's probably senile at this stage. He certainly behaves as if he's senile. Crazy world we live in, gentlemen. It gets crazier by the day. It's amazing to see what people are doing. The whole thing with the Strait of Hormuz, where all these European countries and Asian countries said we're not doing that, and then just a few days later, suddenly 22 nations are coming forward to claim they're going to help keep that open. I think they realize that if we don't have any oil, we're screwed.
Well, I think, there's that. And Trump kind of put himself out there in certain ways. But the chief of NATO, I can't think of his name, R-U-T-T-E.
Mark Rutte, he's the former prime minister of the Netherlands.
And he pretty much come out and said, without the United States of America, basically NATO's junk. We need the United States of America. And
well, that's a true statement.
Symbiotic, He says, but the United States of America also need us. Because we need the positions for, like, say, looking for the Arctic and so on and so forth. But they're not going anywhere without us. They need the United States. I mean, our technologies are out of this world. People don't understand. Space Force is an actual thing. We know when Iran launches a missile because the stuff we have in outer space telling us exactly where that launch was, then we can target that area knowing that's a missile storage facility.
Well, it's not just that. For 70 years, we've provided a lion's share of combat troops on the ground in Western Europe, defending the gates of freedom from the hordes in the East. And then we've still kept tens of thousands of troops there after the Cold War ended. And we've intervened in Bosnia and into Kosovo. We've intervened into the Middle East, into Libya. We've launched from there a whole host of different activities. We've trained Eastern European militaries with troops based in Europe and elsewhere, and it's a launching pad for us with our Navy base or the naval logistics facility. Well, it's actually an Army logistics facility in Livorno, Italy, with our railheads, with Ramstein, our lift capacity there, with our ability to launch attacks from Europe for things that are threats. It does provide a very helpful position for the United States, but it comes at a great cost to our national treasury. And we've defended Europe for years. So Rutte is correct. I mean, there is no NATO without the United States. I don't think that we have to have the Europeans. But the problem with the Europeans is they talk a big game, but they don't execute. When Yugoslavia fell apart and the United States was concerned during the Clinton administration, we did voice, hey, you guys need to do something. So they sent a couple white helicopters for the EU, painted white, and they got shot down. And that was the end of that. They didn't do anything. And so they let Yugoslavia descend into chaos, initially in Slovenia and Croatia. And after Slovenia won their war after 9 days against the Yugoslav National Army, and they left and abandoned it, and it got its independence. The Croatians fought a 6-month war and to a stalemate, and the Europeans did nothing. And then the Bosnians foolishly had a plebiscite and said, we want independence. And they declared independence, and the country dissolved and denigrate into a civil war with atrocious rapes, murders, genocide going on. And jihadists showing up even in that area. And the Europeans accomplished nothing. It wasn't until the Americans got involved with the Dayton Accords and we forced a peace that conflict ended. The Europeans, look at the Ukraine. Instead of ending the war for the past 3 years, the Ukrainians have been fueling, or not the Europeans have been fueling the war. The French, the Brits, the Germans, the Swedes, the French are giving weapon systems to them. And we did it with Joe Doofus Biden, gave them weapon systems and fueled the war. We made no effort. There was not a single conference for peace once during the Biden administration. The European Union never tried for a peace discussion, never tried to bring both sides together. Only Trump has done that. Only Trump has brought them together. The Afghans claim they try to do it, but nobody listened to them. They don't really factor in this. But the Europeans are useless without us. They would kill each other. That's their history. That's the history of Europe. It's bloody. It's violent. It's colonization. It's conquest. It's assimilation. It's extermination. It's religious wars. It's political wars. It's dynastic wars. This is who the Europeans are, and that's why the smart Europeans got out and went to the U.S. or Canada or the Caribbean or Africa or Australia, New Zealand. We got out. And we built our own societies and made them bigger, better. It's like Steve Austin, man. We have the technology. We can make them bigger, better, faster, stronger. Da, 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 da. Yeah, Steve Austin.
Love it. Yep,
as a kid, when they brought the Bionic Woman on, they kept talking about Ojai. And, I didn't know anything about geography of California in the 1970s when I was a little kid. And I'm like, can't they speak? Don't they mean Ohio? They keep saying Ojai. Don't they mean Ohio? Well, there's a town in California called Ojai. So when I was a kid, I didn't know that.
Ojai.
But remember the Bionic Woman, Lindsay Wagner, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yep.
I remember how that series started, or how that show started out every episode.
Oh, when it crashed, you get the little bloop, 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 bloop. Yeah, when he comes back to life.
We have the technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve Austin is the $6 million man. Nowadays, you couldn't
be $6 billion man now.
Yeah, $6 billion. Yeah.
Well, now we have Elon Musk, the $1 trillion man.
Right. Oh wow, unbelievable. And it was funny as I told somebody the other day with a straight face. I said, "Mind you, that's not all cash. He's not all liquid."
Yeah, no. But I mean, today, $6 million. I mean, does that get you an artificial hip and maybe a knee? I don't know. But when it puts me in mind of the Austin Powers. We want $1 million. Dr. Evil, while you were asleep, there's been a little inflation. $1 billion. Can I get some freaking sharks in here with lasers? Come on, give me some freaking sharks with lasers. That's the best part. I love that about those Austin Powers. He wants sharks with lasers on them. Can you imagine sharks with lasers?
Yep. But I love whenever Austin does that turnaround, it takes forever. It moves an inch ahead of time. It's hilarious.
Yeah, no, I tell you, the characters on there, a lot of vaginas,
fembots.
Bring on some bots. Foul Farbissina. Scott Evil.
I'm literally right next to you. Oh, there you are, Scott. Yeah.
Zip it. Zippity zip. Zip, Scotty, zip.
Scotty, no.
It's Minnie B. Yeah, fat bastard. Get in my belly.
Baby back ribs. I want some baby back.
Baby is the new white meat. Oh my goodness. Oh, sorry. We digress.
That's going back away to some Michael Myers.
Yeah, I was watching something on television, and these two people were talking to this young. Oh, it's the wild cards, and both of them were saying they said something about this thing that was going on, and they said, "Yeah, Jerry Maguire," and the young guys, huh? And they're like, "You don't know Jerry Maguire?" You're getting old when people don't know movie references that are only 15 or 20 years ago.
Well, yeah, when you're watching I don't know, Jurassic Park 156 or something, and you realize that the original one came out in the 1990s, you're going, whoa,
you know what's funny?
30 years ago or something.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire, the little kid that was in Jerry Maguire, looks older than Tom Cruise now.
I don't.
Of course, Tom Cruise obviously has well taken care of for sure.
Yeah,
but he looks older than Tom Cruise now.
Well, it's not the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's the geriatric Mutant Ninja Turtles at this stage. I mean, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was so long ago, they got to be collecting Social Security by now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Close to it.
Oh, my goodness. Well, guys, another week is come and gone. What's on tap there, Todd, for you for the coming week? Any big events?
I've got a few things, some Legion stuff, some political stuff I got to work on. I host a Northeast Tennessee Community Roundtable. I've got my state senator coming to that. I host it every last Saturday. Also have an oratorical contest this Saturday I got to go to for First District for the American Legion. We do a scholarship oratorical program. That's the big things this weekend.
Yep, and one of my viewers from YouTube just reminded me. In fact, I need to put them back on the shelf. I picked them. I was in my trip to the UK in September. This year marks the 100th anniversary of Winnie the Pooh. Did you know that, John? Winnie the Pooh is 100 years old.
I did not.
He looks good. Looks good for his age.
I think he's
Winnie the
doing
Pooh
quite
and
well.
Tigger 2, Christopher Robin, all that stuff. 100 years. John, anything on tap for the coming week?
TJ has got a show coming Saturday, so my butt will be back here Saturday morning, I think at 11 o'clock. She didn't tell me the time, but she's doing the Fairground Middle School show. So I'll be back in here Saturday morning if folks want to come and listen to wsmn.live or live at 1590 on your AM dial, 95.3 on your FM dial. You can catch our show. That's about the biggest thing I got going on.
Well, we just got a couple minutes left here, so I'll update you on what's going on with me. On Friday last week, I had a conference call with the director of the Office of Refugee Resettlement, Angie Salazar, and with her deputy, and I discussed with them the challenges taking place with the refugee program. And from my perspective, there's a lack of federal oversight, not directed at them, but a statement of fact. And also these NGOs have a spotty record of following up, and they agreed. I gave them some recommendations. They took them wholeheartedly. I traveled to Maryland on Sunday and met with 25 refugees from South Africa and heard a host of problems and confirmed they were actually genuine, not just simply grousing and complaining. And I submitted a trip report to them, and they're looking into these cases already. I gave it to them Monday night, and they're already looking at it. So that's some good news. I depart Friday for Las Vegas, baby. I'll be out in Vegas from Friday evening until Tuesday night when I fly back and take the red eye back to Pennsylvania, assuming the flights happen. I'll be going out there to meet with at least 25 or more South African refugees who are resettled in the Silver State out there in Las Vegas. So I'll see how they're doing out there, and that will make yet another trip visiting refugees here from South Africa. So looking forward to that. And Professor G, who's a law professor at Tulane, I think, and he's down in Louisiana, and he's also a practicing attorney, does asylum law, is in the chat on my program, and he said, "Do I sleep?" Well, I think maybe every fourth night for about an hour. Yeah, actually, last night I slept for about 4 hours straight. That's the first time. The previous couple nights I got like 20 minutes sleep. I was awake. 20 minutes sleep. That sleep disorder seemed to creep back in. Had been there for a while.
Yeah.
I do sleep occasionally, but this week I've been finishing working by answering emails and advocating for refugees and doing production and preparing up about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, getting up at 6:30 because I'm doing consulting work college. So yeah, I'm a little knackered myself, but I've got my own broadcast here in about an hour. And I think that's about going to do it for this week, guys. We invite you all to tune in again for us next week here on the Common Sense Conservatives. You get conservative views, but diverse conservative views. Even though we agree on a lot of things, we have different approaches to it. Todd is a successful guy there in East Tennessee, a retired non-commissioned officer. And John is from the trucking industry up there in Nashua, New Hampshire. And of course, I'm that crazy guy who is in Pennsylvania, according to the person that told me to F off back to Pennsylvania when I was in Rochester. So yeah, that's what he told me anyway. But yeah, Winnie the Pooh, 100 years this year. Christopher Robin. Milne was the author, if I recall, the guy who wrote that story for his son. And it just kind of grew from there. That'll do it, folks. We'll catch you here next week on the Common Sense Conservatives. Till then, cheers.